Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're zeroing in on a really specific moment in time for crypto. We've gathered a bunch of news reports, all from one single day, that's June 13th, 2025, pulled from CoinMarketCap.
Exactly. And the idea is, well, our mission is to sift through everything that happened on that day and pull out the key takeaways, the important bits, just for you.
Yeah, think of it like a snapshot. You get this really focused view of what was moving the needle in crypto on that specific Tuesday. We've got reports on market action, company news, regulation stuff, even like global events making waves.
It's a real cross-section. You see the big trends, but also some, really telling little details. So should we jump in?
Let's do it. Okay, maybe we start with the bigger picture stuff,
Yeah.
like regulation, institutional moves. There was one piece of news that really stood out from the reports.
Oh, you mean the Ripple and SEC thing?
Yeah, exactly. The report said they've jointly proposed a settlement,
That's right. And quite a specific number, too.
$125 million. And the goal, seems pretty obvious from the reports, is to finally, put that XRP lawsuit to bed.
Which could be, well, a pretty big deal for clarity, at least for Ripple. But that wasn't the only sign of, let's say, traditional finance getting more involved, right?
No, not at all. There's news out of Japan, too. A company there officially announced they'd bought Bitcoin.
Right. And the reports mentioned, didn't they, that they'd actually said they were going to do this way back in February.
They did. So they actually followed through. Intent turned into action.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was the BlackRock information. Reports were suggesting they have this really bold vision for their crypto assets under management, their AUM.
Bold is, maybe putting it mildly. The number being thrown around was, what, targeting $50 billion in crypto AUM by 2030?
50 billion. I mean, that's a huge figure. So if you piece these together,
Yeah.
you've got a major lawsuit potentially ending,
Mhm.
a Japanese firm actually buying Bitcoin like they said they would,
Yeah.
and then BlackRock apparently setting these massive long-term crypto targets. What's the picture?
It feels like traditional finance isn't just, testing the waters anymore.
Exactly. They're setting serious goals.
Mm-hmm.
And you combine that with the regulatory stuff moving forward, it suggests the space is, well, still maturing, and these big institutions are really planning for the long haul.
Okay, right. So you've got that institutional regulatory backdrop developing. But what about the actual market on June 13th? What were the reports saying there?
Oh, well, the market itself, that picture wasn't quite as positive on that particular day. We saw, pretty widespread losses.
Yeah, the data mentioned showed Bitcoin falling, what was it, 3.32%, down to around $104,214 by mid-afternoon Korea time.
And Ethereum took an even bigger hit, down 9.18%. Most of the major coins were in the red.
Most, but not all. There was an exception mentioned.
That's right, yeah, AB.
Yeah.
That actually went up 6.43% according to the report. Kind of bucked the trend.
But here's where things get, well, pretty dramatic based on these reports. There was this huge market event, over $1 billion in crypto liquidations.
Yeah.
In just 24 hours.
$1 billion, yeah. And the breakdown is pretty revealing. The report specified $943 million of that total came from longs.
So people betting on prices going up.
Yeah.
Wiped out.
Leveraged bets, yeah.
Yeah.
Gone. And the reports, they seem to point a finger at a specific cause for all of this volatility, this sudden crash.
Geopolitics, right? Military actions.
Exactly. One report explicitly linked Israel's military action as kind of the spark that led to a significant market downturn that day.
Wow. So the mechanism was basically geopolitical tensions causing this huge wave of liquidations driving the volatility.
That's what the report suggests, yeah. A
Yeah.
direct link. One source even specifically flagged a volatility alert.
So you have these like external real-world events, geopolitical conflicts, hitting the crypto market really hard, triggering massive sell-offs. It really highlights how connected or maybe sensitive this market still is to global forces, even things that feel quite separate from, the usual crypto story about decentralization.
It does. But interestingly, even with that major market pressure coming from outside events, the reports also highlighted some specific cryptos or projects that were doing well, or at least trending, against that downward tide.
Right. It wasn't universally bad news. There were reports about BNB having a pretty significant surge.
Yeah, the figure mentioned was 275%, a huge surge.
Polkadot was another one named as trending around that time.
And BlockDAG got a mention too. Specifically, the reports pointed to its X1 miner app.
saying it was driving mass adoption.
Yeah, driving mass adoption, and they even gave a scope something like 150 plus countries,
And this was all happening before its main network launch, its go live event.
which is, quite interesting. That
Yeah.
contrast, you've got this day where the broad market is down hard because of global news, huge liquidations happening,
Yeah.
but then you still see specific projects like BNB or BlockDAG with its app apparently showing really strong internal momentum, hitting milestones, driving growth, according to these reports.
Yeah.
It just shows there are always multiple forces at work, sometimes pulling in opposite directions.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this a bit. Pulling together these different threads from the June 13th reports,
Yeah.
we see signs of regulatory progress, maybe resolution with Ripple.
Mm-hmm.
We see growing institutional ambition, like BlackRock's big target, Japanese companies buying in.
Right. But at the exact same time, the reports show a major market hit, over $1 billion in liquidations, and they're linking it directly to geopolitical events.
And yet, kind of floating within that choppy water, you have specific assets or projects, BNB, Polkadot, BlockDAG's app reportedly moving up, driven by their own news or tech.
And that's really why looking at a single day's reports like this is so valuable, I think. It gives you this concentrated look at the complex, sometimes contradictory forces shaping crypto, like right now.
You see global politics slamming into the market. See traditional finance making bigger moves, regulation evolving, and then individual projects having their own successes or failures.
So the aha moment here, the real takeaway for you listening, gleaned from these reports, is that understanding crypto isn't just about watching price charts.
Or just reading about the tech.
Exactly. It's about seeing how all these different things, global conflicts, corporate strategy from giants like BlackRock, a new mining app going viral, how they all connect and influence the whole ecosystem day by day.
Okay, so maybe we leave people with a final thought, something to chew on, based directly on what these reports from June 13th showed us.
Right. Given that these sources show the market getting significantly knocked around by external geopolitical events.
While at the same time they show traditional finance setting these increasingly huge targets for crypto AUM.
How truly separate or, decentralized can this crypto market realistically stay from those really powerful traditional global forces and institutions in the long run?
Yeah, what does that convergence actually mean for where this whole space is headed? Definitely something to think about as you watch things develop.